Welcome to The Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a show that is a central hub and safe space for authors to share their stories. The Bold Book with Dr. Denise begins now.
Hello, welcome back to The Bold Book of the Day. My name is Dr. Denise Nicholson, and this podcast is for anyone looking for inspiration. I am so excited today, guys, because I'm honored to be joined by Tash Durkins, the brilliant author of Fiercely Joyful, whom I met in Washington, D.C. So she wrote this beautiful book, which I've got my copy right here, Fiercely Joyful, 11 Keys to Living Authentically and Creating a Life You Love. Here's my copy. Make sure you get yours. Please welcome Tash Durkins to our stage. Welcome, Tash.
Thank you so much, Dr. Denise. It's an honor to be with you today. Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. Tell the audience how you spent over 30 years, girl, leading in private and public sectors. Just give us a little bit about who you really are.
Yes, absolutely. Happy to. So, I spent about the first 10 years of my career in the private sector. And I did things like marketing, but probably the most memorable job was when I was a customer service rep for USA Today, the newspaper. Girl, you just could imagine how angry people were when they didn't get their paper in the morning. But that actually led me
How
to
times have changed.
Yes, right, exactly. But that then led me to, over time, my career in public sector, working in aviation, which is so interesting. That was never something I thought was even an option for me. But I became a contractor, supporting marketing efforts at first, and then supporting kind of program management efforts at the Federal Aviation Administration. And my client was happy with my work, so I eventually joined the organization as a federal employee.
Okay. Now tell us, how did you go from that person to writing Fiercely Joyful?
Well, I had during my life some challenges, and I lost both of my parents when I was fairly young, before the age of 30. My mom was my best friend, and I was just 20 when she died. And I remember thinking then, how am I going to make it in this world without her? And over time, as I sat and reflected and started to come out of my depression after losing her and grief, I realized that she taught me so much, so many things that would help me, that would give me the foundation I needed to live a joyful life. Because that's what she was all about, and that's what my dad was all about.
Yes.
Being authentic and enjoying life, because tomorrow's just not promised. And so I started practicing that, Denise, and then, it became sort of my thing. And it's so funny because after writing the book, people look at pictures of me from my childhood and they say, look at you. You had the same smile. You were just as joyful back then as you are now. But it has saved me time and time again through that difficult time, through other difficult times. Those lessons and the lessons I learned in life after have saved me. And I recognize that showing up authentically was the pathway to joy. And so now that's my thing. That's what I do, and I help others do the same.
How did you own your journey from burnout to alignment and then use it to shape this book?
It's so interesting because, as many of us do, you grow up wanting to get good grades, wanting to please everyone and do all the things that everyone is expecting you to do. And that doesn't take into consideration what you want. There's got to be some kind of balance there. But I started, as much as I was focused on being authentic, I started focusing on what everybody else wanted. And it led me straight to burnout because I was showing up fully for everybody but Tash.
What did that look like? You showing up for everyone but yourself. How did that
I mean, I
look?
evaluated my worth by how happy people were with what I did to support them.
Ooh.
So I was showing up
Mm-hmm.
at work, long days, being available, long nights, never putting the phone down, going on
Mm-hmm.
vacation and always available, had the laptop, had the phone, interrupted dinner, interrupted weekends.
Mm.
Everything was a priority except me. And
Mm.
that's what that looked like. And it felt like I thought and used to say, I don't have a choice. That's what I have to do to be successful. And eventually I learned otherwise.
Not realizing that the power was in your hands all the time.
Yes. Oh, you said that so beautifully. Exactly that. And that is the key that I've learned with the book being titled Fiercely Joyful.
Mm-hmm.
The fierceness is about being unapologetically you and standing
Mm-hmm.
firmly in what you believe in.
Yeah.
Firmly in what you believe. Unapologetically you, firmly in what you believe. And then joy is about a self-generated sense of fulfillment. And think about that. Back to what you just said. If you are generating your own fulfillment, you're making a choice. And can nobody take it away from you because you have chosen for yourself authenticity and joy. And it's yours. It's sustainable because it's coming from within you.
And no one else is going to shape the story and tell your story. You have to, that's how we got to here. No one
Yes.
else can share your story better than you. No one else can hurt you when you share the story first, or you share it in your narrative.
Exactly. And
Mm.
you over time you develop this because you're standing so firmly in who you are and what you believe,
Mm-hmm.
you're not as we often say in the community, you're not shaken by
Mm-hmm.
somebody trying to tell you something different about you.
Yeah, I know
I
me.
understand, right? I know me. You
Yes.
can have all the
Yeah.
opinions that you like about me, but I know me and I'm standing firmly and grounded in it.
So you had to come to the understanding that someone else's opinion about you doesn't matter. You know you more than anyone else.
100%. 100%. And when people would for years, tell me what they thought I was capable of, what they thought my promotion potential was, I believed them for a time. And then as I started to get more comfortable and grounded in who I believed I was, who I knew I was, then suddenly those opinions, they were just data. It was just data. They weren't defining me in any way, shape, or form. And that's what I always encourage people to remember. All the inputs you get, it's data. Take it and do what you will with it. But don't let it define you. You define
You know, have you ever thought that your upbringing and your childhood and all of the experiences that you encounter were preparation for such a time as this?
you. I know now there were, without question. Without question. Especially with me asking myself now, 30 years ago, how am I
Mm-hmm.
going to make it? Because when my mom passed, she was 49 years old. And I thought to myself, that was going to be how long I lived,
Mm.
49.
Yeah.
And today I'm 51.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 51. But I say that because, right. But I say that because at that time in my life, I just had no idea how I could navigate the challenges and complexity of what I was feeling at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about life today, in the world today, and you know how many people, I can't even tell you, Denise, that come to me and say, you can't have joy right now. things are hard, things are challenging. This is not the time. No,
Mm.
this is exactly the time. And I do believe that life prepared me just for a moment like this.
Because think about it, if you have a situation where there is distraught, when is the best time to infuse joy into that situation and change it around, but to be yourself, be you, and be the person that can fiercely be joyful in that moment also. There is a
Exactly.
time, for everything, but I believe that you said the right thing. You said it. You have the right frame of mind when you said, I can infuse joy in any moment.
I think I think we tend to, in society, to your point, there's often a belief that everything is so binary. It's either this or that.
Mm-hmm.
I share a lot of content on LinkedIn, and I just posted about this, and I think it's in my newsletter recently. That two truths can be held at one time. You can be feeling grief and you can be feeling joy. You can be feeling anger and frustration, and you can also be feeling peace. Two truths can coexist. And once we get to, yes, once we get to the place where we can embrace that, life changes dramatically in terms of how we can have peace for ourselves.
Tash, I just had a hallelujah moment while you were talking.
Hey.
If the listeners could see me, okay? I just had a hallelujah moment because you are so correct. A lot of times we think it has to be one or the other, but two
Mhm,
things can be true at the same time.
mhm.
I love how you incorporated or created a framework of root, rise, and reign. It is so powerful. Can you break it down what each stage really is and what it means and how they help us to just live more authentically, which I think is what every soul is searching for?
Thank you so much for that question. And I agree with you too on that last part. People are searching for ways to live and be more authentic, both in their life and their leadership,
Hmm.
because that is freedom. When you show up as your most authentic self, you are your freest self without question. And the root rise reign freedom framework came from working with my clients over the last 2.5 years and understanding exactly what it takes to go through the process and get there so that it's sustainable. It does
Yes.
not mean, that there are never challenging days, but there's a process that we can undergo. It starts with the root piece of it, which is owning your truth, which is really taking ownership of who you are, what you've experienced, and where you are in this moment in life. There's no good or bad. You are
Yes.
just understanding the facts of it. And you get to own your truth. Nobody tells you but you what that is, right? The
Yes.
right part of it is starting to figure out, okay, now I know my truth. What is my voice around that? How does that show up in me? How do I show up at work, in life, everywhere I go, rising with my truth? And then the third part of it, the rain piece, that's when you start sitting very comfortably and firmly in your truth, owning your voice, and showing up more fully as exactly who you are. You are implementing your truth, your voice, and reigning such that now you have impact and influence that you wouldn't have had if you were showing up as part of you or showing
Yeah.
up as the way somebody else
Someone
wants you to show.
else. Yes. Yes. In this world or this era that we live in, it is so easy to lose yourself
Mm,
trying to become someone else or trying to hide from your pain and your experiences and just be someone else. And it's so easy to do that in this era because social media is so prevalent, and we think that we ought to go out there and be perfect, which is an illusion, and be, strong and don't show any vulnerability. Just go out there and pretend. And here you are saying, be unapologetic, authentic. I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, too, so it's very clear for all of us, this is a journey. There isn't an arrival point where we just like, I've mastered authenticity. I'm done. I did. No, no. The key is not to have unrealistic expectations that you'll get there and stay there. The goal instead is that you maintain your awareness of who you truly are. And you can feel when a situation, when an experience with a person, something is pushing you away from that. You can feel it because you have that awareness, and then you're like, no, I need to come back. And I remember an experience working in a toxic work environment. And because I'm so authentic and I'm a truth teller, I'm pretty outspoken. I tell truth with compassion, but I tell it, and people know they can expect that from me. Well, it was such a toxic work environment, Denise, that I got to the point where I had to protect my peace by choosing when to engage and when not to. My engagement changed. It was no longer as predictable as my normal self would be because I was burned out and I was causing harm to myself by continuing to push when my cup was empty. It was empty. So it was time for me to just pull back. And that's what I did. And so that's one of those experiences where people feel like you're not being your authentic self. No, actually I am, because I'm not doing anything that's misaligned with my values, but I am choosing where to engage and not to.
I appreciate that, because I noticed that high achievers, they tend to live in that space where they're striving for perfection, and they are, they are head fast going down that road looking for perfection because they're high achievers. And then they find themselves, like you said, pouring from an empty cup. And that, you're saying also that that's a non-negotiable. You should not do that anymore. We have learned enough to see the damage of pouring from an empty cup or striving for perfection, for being the perfect mom and being the perfect wife and being the perfect person and being just trying to show a life of perfection that doesn't even exist, and end up pouring from an empty cup because you want to give to everyone. You want to be all to everyone. You want to be everything to everyone.
Mm-hmm. And that is, yes, we all have that in our mind, that's who we're supposed to be. And it's so unhealthy. It is so unrealistic. Yes. And quite frankly, it is self-abandonment. It's self-abandonment because you are just kicking your whole self to the curb and focusing on everything else and not listening to your body, your spirit, telling you need to do something different. You deserve better than that.
Wow. I've never looked at it in that way.
It's self-abandonment. It truly is. I mean, think about it. Like, you literally, and if you were talking to your best friend or your family member, and they were telling you that's how they were behaving, you give them what for? Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. You got to look out for yourself. Self-care, all these things. But it's hard for us to do the same and show ourselves that same level of love that we give to everyone else. But that's truly what it comes down to, is self-abandonment.
Why is that so hard?
I think because we don't necessarily get time to, or even know to, intentionally sit down and unlearn the unhealthy habits that have just been ingrained in us by society. I mean, another book that I love is Rest is Resistance by Tricia Hersey. Rest is just never something that I grew up hearing was required. You know, that saying of sleep when you're dead drives me insane now, you know, but I'm sure I probably said it many times when I was younger. I was like, oh, wow, let's just get the work done. Let's just do. That's not healthy. And I went to a women's retreat this weekend and transitioning because I resigned from my public sector job about 6 months ago. I'm full-time running my business. And I continue to carry with me some of those poor habits around availability 24/7. Just like, and I'm working for myself. I'm working for myself. So the point is, it's tough. Like, you have to recognize. And once I recognized it, I was like, okay, let me talk. I talked to my husband. I talked to my circle, my kitchen cabinet, and asked them to help hold me accountable for showing up with grace for myself. I don't need to work 24/7.
So you were identifying these hurdles or ingrained what do you call them, roadblocks? You were identifying them at the retreat.
Yep. Just literally in it. And the coach said to me, and I've worked with her before, she's amazing, Bridget Simmons. She's like, why do you have to do this? What makes it required? Nothing. Nothing. And what she has taught me in the past, and I've let go of, and now I've brought back to my day-to-day, is we can succeed with ease. It does not have to be hustle 24/7. It does not have to be painful to succeed. What we do is focus on where do we put our energy. We put our energy in the right places, figure out where we can get support. Some things we might be able to outsource if you're early in your business, maybe not. But you figure out where to spend your time such that you get the real bang for the buck.
It's like it's also a part of the framework that you created, rein yourself in, the word, rein, it feels so empowering that you really can use that. Well, to me, it means presence and purpose and peace. And it also means to govern your life.
Yes.
Rein yourself back in.
100%. Because you are going to step out of the bounds multiple times. And that's why I'm telling everybody here who's listening, here I am just now, just this recent experience. So I'm like, I've got to reset. This is an opportunity for reset. And the key is, again, I'm so grateful that I'm in tune with my values. I'm in tune with my spirit. I'm connected with me such that I recognize when something's wrong and I can adjust.
What's the biggest misconception people have about joy?
Oh, I love this question. People think joy has to be some huge monumental event or experience. So they equate it with buying a home, getting a promotion, perhaps getting married or having children. It's like those are the only things that bring joy to in the minds of many people. Joy can be in the smallest of things. And this is one of the things I learned from my mom. When I was growing up as a kid, my bedroom was right next to my parents. And every single night, literally every night, when we all went to bed, my mom would like giggle in the sheets. She's like, oh, the sheets are so warm. It goes down. It's bedtime. It was a celebration just to go to bed.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
But that was joy. That was
Yeah.
joy for her, right? It could be the sunshine outside. You feel it on your face. It could be your morning cup of coffee or tea. You know, for me, when my dogs come and snuggle up next to me, is joy. Anything that gives you
Mhm.
that sense of fulfillment from the inside out. Like
Yes.
that to me is the biggest misconception. I want people to start to reframe that and start looking at what lights them up. That's all. What are the things that light you up? And it's more than just the big thing.
Can you think of a time when you had to choose joy instead of pain?
Mm. Oh, that's a one.
Even like you're having pain, but you have to choose joy.
Mm. Absolutely. I think of most recently when I met you.
Mm.
I was not feeling well. I was not feeling well. But I pulled myself together. I did a meditation and I prayed for some relief from the physical pain I was actually having because I knew the experience of being in the place and space where we were when we met is
Yeah.
going to be so fruitful and joyful for me. I was like, I have to go. I have to find my way to it. And I said to myself, let's not be harmful in pushing through and making things worse. Let me give myself an hour or two. That's all I will commit to. I said, I'll go and be there for an hour or two. I'm feeling better. I'll go back home. I got in there and felt good. The energy just came. The symptoms I had totally dissipated. And I was glad I made the choice. But you have to make the choice in that context, right? Of not doing it in a way that harms you.
You gave yourself grace so that if you didn't feel well enough, you can just go back. You can just, exit.
Mhm.
But you pushed through and said, you know what? I'm going anyway. And in going, that's when it's in saying you're going, you chose joy.
I
You
did.
could have chose your bed and that would have been joy too.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. You could have chosen your bed and that would have been okay. This is joy. I'm just like your mom. Let me just giggle through these sheets.
I know, but I feel so glad with the decision I made. I mean, it was just beautiful. I felt so good being around so many people who were positive, who were engaged, really wanting to talk and meet other people. Like it felt so good. So I'm glad I made that decision. There have been other times where I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna be right here.
You know who's glad
I'm
you
gonna do
made
this
it. I
thing.
haven't read this book in its entirety. I skimmed through it, but I haven't read it in its entirety yet, and I am going to put it on my schedule so I can read it. I do have a lot of books, so I can't tell you exactly when, but I am going to put it on my schedule, and when I do, you will know because I'm going to put my review up there, okay, where it
Yay!
matters, and and I believe that the listeners need to understand and practice these 11 keys to living authentically. So, what's one of the 11 keys? Guys, you got to get the book to get all 11, okay? But what's one of the 11 keys that you believe every listener needs to start practicing today?
I would say the one that is probably easiest to start with is just be grateful. That's one of the keys.
Mhm.
Grateful. And the more I practice gratitude, the more I have to be grateful for. It
Yes.
just never ceases to amaze me Things just, the universe just continues to bring abundance when you live from a space of expecting it, even when it doesn't come and there are challenging times, you still find those pieces of it within. And so, gratitude, if you can sit and either reflect on it daily or set your timer on your phone, you can do 1 minute, or write it down in a notebook or a journal, the things that you're grateful for. The more you do it, the more you will have to be grateful for in your life.
Mm. So, guys, the one key that everyone should practice is that gratitude, because having gratitude is easy. It's if you are intentional, if you start to pay attention, and when you set your intention and say, okay, today I'm going to have an attitude of gratitude to increase my latitude.
Yes, I love it. You'll have a whole different kind of day with that
Okay.
intention.
Yes. So gratitude is the one key that if you start practicing that today, you will have a world of difference. You will see a world of difference in your life. And just get the book for the rest, because we're giving you one of the 11 keys. And I agree with that 100%, because gratitude really, really changed my life. There's a section that tells you why the gratitude matters on page 130. You can go into why the gratitude, matters so much. We want you to get the book, okay? And then it shares, you can come to your own conclusion of what's in your life that's worth it. What's in your life, what is it that you desire so much that is worth you being grateful for the now. We're always looking into the future and saying, I want this and I want that, but it's being grateful for what you have right now that is going to take you down that path and get you closer and faster to that future that you desire.
And see that, I love that you said that. Thank you so much for putting that context around the now.
Mm-hmm.
And even things that we tend to overlook and take for granted sometimes. There was a time when I was an avid runner and I was training for all these races, marathons. I read about this in the book. I started out over 300 pounds and decided I want to be a runner. And I became one. But there are times when I didn't want to train. I just didn't want to get out of bed and do the early run or run 5 miles after work or whatever. And I would say to myself, there is someone somewhere who would love to be in my shoes and be able to walk, let alone run. So let me be grateful.
Putting it into perspective.
Let me be grateful and put on these shoes and go on out there and run.
Mm-hmm. Put it all into perspective.
Mm-hmm.
How was writing this book for you? How did it change you?
The process for me is, and I've heard, I'm sure for you, I've heard from so many, is much more therapeutic than I expected it would be. Because you revisit different parts of your life. If you're writing nonfiction, sometimes with fiction too. But it helped me understand that so many people are experiencing similar challenges in life. And my mom was the one who taught me to be open and transparent about them. And we get to do that for those who aren't comfortable. Those who are introverts or just don't want to speak publicly about some of their life experiences. We get to do that. Yeah. And so that's been a blessing for me, is hearing people come to me and say, oh, you told my story. You told my story in this chapter. This was me, and that just what a blessing that is to be able to touch people in that way, or make people more accurately, I'll say, make people feel seen.
Mm-hmm. So I hear also you mention your mom a lot. Maybe because when we met, you talked about how impactful and inspiring she was. And then you gave us a little bit of a context into what encouraged you or gave you the idea to write this book. Matter of fact, so she inspired the joy in you, and you had to write this book, girl. You had this force in you to write this book so you can pass on the joy. She just poured into you and poured into you, and she poured so much joy into you that you were overflowing with joy, and you had to pass it on to the world in the book. 100 years from now, when you're no longer here, fiercely joyful is here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of her, how much love and joy she used mundane moments to teach you lessons of joy.
She did. She did. And I mean, that's what I remember
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the most when I was 20 years old about my mom was, again, just like the running story. There are so many people that either never had the 20 years like I had, or had
Mm-hmm.
20 that they'd rather forget. And I had 20 amazing years,
Yeah.
and my dad was more so about the community, and I had that,
Yes.
and so what a blessing to be able to share with the world what they taught me.
Girl, I had 3 years with my mother. So
Mm.
yes, my mother left when I was 3 years old. I've never seen
Oh,
her again.
so hard.
And
That
my
is so
father
hard.
passed 6 weeks later. So I lost both parents when I was 3 years old. Yeah.
Oh
So
my
I
goodness.
get it. I understand what you're feeling. I understand the loss, but I do see that 20 years like, oh my God, that
Right.
must have been so beautiful. But I understand how much pain that could feel like. Yeah. The pain that you
Yeah.
had. So,
And when I was writing that, just really quickly, when I was writing that story a couple
mhm.
weeks ago about holding to truth, I was sitting drinking my morning coffee and being grateful for this. I've been having some beautiful successes lately, and I'm grateful to God for sending them. And at the same time, I was thinking of how would mom feel? How would she react? And a tear was rolling down my cheek. But
Mm.
I was holding that both together, right? That gratitude and that grief,
And
uh,
joy.
and
Hmm.
joy.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What a woman. If reading this book could give just an inkling of the joy that she passed down into you, into someone else, if just one person extracted some remnants of joy from this book, it would be so worth it because we write these books and we want everyone to get it, but if one person, because I can feel the power of her presence just
Mm.
by looking at you and hearing how much she poured into you. I can feel that it's super transferred over here. So just imagine someone reading this and they just get an ounce of this joy that will fill them up. Okay, it's gonna fill you. I'm feeling it right now. Thank you. Oh, Tash, oh my goodness, girl,
Thank you.
thank you for being obedient and writing this book. Where can the people get this book, please?
Please go online. You can find it wherever books are sold online, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Um, if you want an autographed copy, though, you can pick it up from my website, which is www.fiercely-joyful.com. And you'll get your autographed copy there.
Like me, I got my autographed copy right here. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on here and just sharing your message of joy and hope and inspiration, and just giving us, because in times like these, we need this joy, girl. We
Yeah.
need, oh, Tash, we need this joy. We need this joy for a couple more, well, 3 more years. We need this joy.
We need it.
We need this joy.
Yes. And you said it earlier. That's the reminder to listeners. We get to choose it. It's our birthright. Let's go ahead
Yes.
and choose it.
Yes. Before you go, I have 3 questions that I just love to ask my guests. And the first one is, what is a bold promise that you can share with the audience?
Okay, a bold promise.
Mm-hmm.
I would say if you're willing to choose authenticity over approval or over performance,
Mm-hmm.
joy will meet you where burnout tries to live. If you're willing to choose it, joy will
Yes.
meet
And the second question is, what's a bold statement that you can share with the audience that may cause a paradigm shift?
you. Well, shoot, I kind of intimated earlier. I guess I would go back to the thought that
Uh-huh.
people think of burnout as a sign of weakness,
Mm-hmm.
that you can't push through or that you can't navigate challenging things. This is
Mm-hmm.
where I come back with what I mentioned earlier is it's not weakness. It is a symptom of self-abandonment.
Ooh.
And if you're willing to explore that and explore where you're not standing up fully for you at you're standing up for everyone else at the expense of you. Burnout is just not a sign of weakness. It is a symptom of self-abandonment. And so the
I'm writing that
opportunity
down.
yes, the opportunity, because we were raised to equate our worth with output,
Yes.
to equate it with productivity, and we were supposed to preserve productivity at any cost. But the point is this: exhaustion is not excellence, people. It just isn't, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the real evolution, I would say, is moving from performance to presence. That for
Yes.
me is the paradigm shift that we should all adopt. And the last piece of that is making wholeness foundational. So when I say wholeness, I don't just come to work as an employee. I come to work as an employee who is a Black woman, a woman in perimenopause, dealing with struggling with weight challenges. Like all these things come through the door with me. I don't leave any in the parking lot. So we get to show up in our wholeness and not have to put aside pieces of our whole to show up and satisfy others.
I tell you, I am blown away by your wisdom, because a lot of times I've heard, and listeners, you've heard it too, that burnout is somebody who they can't manage, they can't handle, they are not resilient enough, and so they are burning out. And I've heard that so many times. But you're saying burnout is not a weakness, but it is a symptom of self-abandonment. So if you're experiencing burnout, choose now to be unapologetic and be authentic enough to get back and fill your cup with joy.
Yes, ma'am. That's it. That is it. Get yourself to alignment.
Yes. Sis, thank you for bringing that and sharing that. You have, opened up my mind in thinking a different way. This is my paradigm shift, okay? Because now, guys, a paradigm shift is taking some new information and creating habits of it. So now I'm going to have a paradigm shift because I'm now going to be practicing some self-serving habits more frequently, as a matter of fact, daily. And
Yes. Yes.
you said rest was one of them that we that it's a part of the growth, part of the process. So I'm going to incorporate more rest in there for me. I'm having a paradigm shift. Okay.
Yes.
So what are you going to do? What bold move are you going to make in the future?
Sis, I'm creating a movement around
Yeah.
this. Okay. I'm creating a whole ecosystem around us choosing to be fiercely joyful people,
Yes.
around living and leading from wholeness, not depletion, which is the norm. We no more of that. And at the foundation of it all, Denise, is I want to create joy literacy. I want people to understand
Big ideas.
that joy is foundational as strategy. And it's strategy for life and leadership and for influence. Think about it. When you think of some of the leaders who have had the best impact, or just people in your life who've had the best impact, chances are pretty good. They were joyful people. They were joyful people, and it was self-generated joy. It wasn't, all these external things, their purse collection or their clothing or their car, that kind of thing. But it was a joyful person. So I'm like, let's get this joy literacy going so people can understand we can create our own definition of success and should. And let's model that for the next generation. Let's get this movement going. And that's how I best honor the legacy of my parents and help to influence our future community for the better.
It's always a joy to speak to you. I just met her 2 weeks ago, and you have brought, you've just brought so much wisdom into this relationship. I love it. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful, joyful pleasure to speak with you. And I'm looking forward for you to come back again, because I haven't even touched upon all of the joyful goodness of this book. But, you can come back another time, because, guys, there are 11 keys in here to living authentically and creating a life you love. Tash Durkins, please come back again. It was an honor to speak with you today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Denise. It was an honor and a joy for me. Would absolutely love to come back. Thank you so much for having me at all. I really do appreciate it.
And to those of you who are listening, your message is important also. That panging that you have inside of you that is yearning for a message to come out, listen, that is God speaking to you, honey. So if you are interested in getting some help, if you're feeling overwhelmed about writing that book and you need some help, join me in my writing class on Sundays and or Wednesdays. You can send me an email to authordnicholson@gmail.com, or you can just join me on Instagram and I'll show you easy peasy how to get in that class. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for the Bold Book of the Day with Dr. Denise Nicholson, a central hub and a safe space for authors to share their stories. Follow Dr. Denise on Facebook and Instagram at Denise Nicholson, or go to denisenicholson.com. Remember, no one can share your story better than you.